Are you harnessing your superpower to build better relationships, to grow your business, to increase visibility? Well, if you're not, then you need to talk to Lillian. And that's why I've brought her here today. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself, why this topic matters to her, and why it should matter to you. Welcome to the show, Lillian.
Thanks for having me, Shauna. As a PR coach and publicist, I empower and educate coaches, authors, and creative entrepreneurs to unlock the superpower inside their story and gain the confidence to push past limiting beliefs like fear, anxiety, and imposter syndrome to use PR to harness the power behind their stories to achieve their goals. And I work with them through coaching sessions, my coaching program, and campaigns in order to get their stories out in front of the right audiences that's going to help them do things like build their reputations as global industry leaders and knowledgeable thought leaders, increase sales, raise brand awareness, and develop really powerful relationships with both the media and businesses all around the world.
What an impact, too, to be able to show up in a way that spreads yourself globally, that really increases your authority and makes you stand out in this very overcrowded, oversaturated market. Lillian, what got you into this space in the first place?
I've had a lifelong love of storytelling, Shauna. As a kid, my dream job was to be an author, and this was pre self-publishing. So while I was in university, my brother had said to me, you're going to starve waiting for a traditional publisher to take notice of your books. You should probably have a backup plan. And at the time, I was an English and communications major, and I really loved the marketing and advertising side of things. So I thought, okay, since I love storytelling so much, let's see if I can make a go out of helping other people share their stories. So that was kind of the genesis of me building my own business on the copywriting and social media marketing side. So I was doing a lot of strategy, writing content, launching campaigns, that kind of thing. And I had quite a few entrepreneurs come to me and say, is PR also something you do? Because I need a news release written and I want to get the word out about what I'm doing. And I got tired of telling them no. so I thought, okay, let's try this out. Let's see if I can get some experience with some agencies. Let's see if this is something I can do, something I enjoy. So I cut my teeth working as first an intern and then a subcontractor as a publicist with a variety of agencies in town before branching out on my own. So I was a publicist for a number of years before the coaching side came about. And that came about because a lot of entrepreneurs were saying to me, I would love to work with you on a campaign, but I can't afford it. And by that point, I thought, I've been doing this for 10 years. I have all this education and this knowledge. And I've also noticed a lot of patterns with a lot of the entrepreneurs and authors and folks like that would either come to me or come to the agencies that I was working with, where we would spend a lot of time explaining what we do and trying to educate them sort of on the fly about what we do. And they would come to us thinking they needed PR without even really understanding what it actually was, right? So I thought that coaching would be a way for me to impart that education to entrepreneurs out there so that they could make better decisions for themselves and their businesses surrounding their marketing and PR strategies. And also that understanding and that education would empower them to be able to advocate better for their goals when they were working with agencies. Because the other thing I heard a lot about from the entrepreneurs that I spoke to were things like, I did a campaign, I got interviews, it was fun, but ultimately I didn't get the results that I wanted. And I think that happened because I didn't feel comfortable standing up and saying to the publicist, hey, can we focus on this area instead? So it's
Right.
my goal through coaching and education to really empower entrepreneurs to not only understand how PR works and how they can make it work for them, but to have the confidence to be able to advocate for themselves so that when they are working with somebody, they can stand up and go, hey, I really would rather focus on this area. Like, as an example, I had a client who lived in a rural community. She was a cyberpunk sci-fi author, and I was doing a campaign for her. And she said to me, she stood up and said to me, hey, my Wi-Fi can't handle video very well. Can you not pitch me for video interviews? And I said, hey, no problem. Absolutely. We're not going to go there unless you can get into the city and you tell me beforehand. So this kind of thing is an example that I want to be able to empower every entrepreneur to do, because if my client hadn't had the confidence to say to me, can we do this instead, I would have spent so much time and energy pitching her for the wrong thing, and we would have ended up with the results that she didn't want.
Yeah, I can't imagine having to sit there with wonky internet and cross your fingers that this type of PR would work for me, when you could just easily pivot, do something different, and it will be just as effective when it's done right. And a few
Mhm.
things that you said that I think are really important for people to hold on to is about making sure that you're able to make a better decision by being informed, right? Making informed decisions about the next steps so that you can advocate for your business in a way that makes sense for you is so important, and it's understated. So I appreciate you for saying that. And another element of your coaching, as I understand it, is working through the head junk of showing up for your business, the mindset. Are you encountering there? Because you mentioned, advocating, you mentioned confidence. How does that play a role in it all?
A lot of the fear and anxiety that entrepreneurs have, and I understand this completely because I am one and I live this myself, just like my clients, I spent a lot of years not wanting to share my story. And
Mhm.
that's really when I talk about superpowers, that's really what I'm talking about is your story, because let's face it, there's thousands of people out there in every country all around the world that do what you do. So what you do is almost inconsequential. It doesn't really matter. What it's not telling people is how you do it and why you do it. And that is the superpower that everyone has, because everyone has that unique story. It's like, hey, maybe you became an author after working as a clinical counselor for years. You became a romance author because you understand all the nuances that kind of go into relationships and you understand the psychology behind it. Or maybe you became, like, after working for years in IT, you became a traveling expat and you built a career as a digital nomad because you wanted to leave that 9 to 5. Like, everybody has these really unique stories that really influence how they approach their businesses, how they build relationships with clients, how they create connections. And yet, there is a lot of fear and anxiety, in particular, surrounding sharing those stories,
Mhm. Yes.
because we're all, to an extent, we're all afraid of judgment. We're all afraid of rejection. And we're all afraid of also getting too personal and maybe perhaps losing control over.
Vulnerability can be
Yeah.
such a difficult thing to step into. I understand. That's one of the things that I find in almost all of my conversations with prospective clients, with peers and colleagues. When somebody says to me, "Hey, I did this thing, but I'm not sure if I want to share it," that's I'm scared to be vulnerable with my audience, or I'm scared to be with anybody. And I actually made a post about that this morning. by the way. All about how that vulnerability, that assertion towards your advocacies and the things that matter most to you are the things that are actually going to make you connect with your dream clients and make them convert at a higher rate because they're forming a relationship with you. This is massive. So,
Absolutely, because I think that's the other thing that we tend to forget is that even if you're running a company or a small firm or a startup or whatever, people connect with people, people resonate with people's stories. So it's not even about what you're offering or the price tag on it or anything like that. It's really about who are you as a person. And when you focus so much on what it is that you do or what you're selling, that doesn't tell people what they really want to know. Ultimately, why should they trust you and why should they support you, right? So many entrepreneurs come to me with a lot of that fear and anxiety. There's frustration there too because they feel like they've been spinning their wheels with the
mm-hmm.
rest of their marketing strategy because they've been able to build their audiences to a certain point on social media or using email marketing or on their website. And I say to them, the thing about all three of those things, as powerful as they are and as much as they help you engage with your audiences one on one and build those relationships, the fact of the matter is that they can only help you go so far. And they can only help you go so far because all of that content is coming from you.
Mm.
You're responsible for it. And for a lot of entrepreneurs who don't feel comfortable with marketing in general, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of
And
frustration.
because and this is the thing, like I love it because this connects right with what you were saying before about making sure that you're your own advocate, making sure that you're making informed decisions. And what has happened, in my humble opinion, is that people have been fed this idea that there's one way to do marketing. There's one way to show up online. There's one way to email market. There's one, and that's simply not the truth. And I think that you showcased that beautifully in your PR examples, that you don't need to do it one specific way, and that's across the board. Also, because there's no one way, overlapping strategies for visibility and audience building and engagement is wise. And that's what I'm hearing you say, is that that's only going to take you so far without implementing these other strategies. But
Absolutely.
I can imagine there's some hesitancy though because of the we're sitting here, okay, I want to do PR. And I know it could give me a lot of benefits, but also what about things like the trolls? I become more visible, trolls start coming out, and now we have to deal with hate because that happens because they're brutal people out there. I experienced this when I first started this podcast. I experienced like a very severe anxiety, and it was fear of failure first. What if I start this and it flops? And that houses all sorts of other emotions and circumstances, but then also fear of success. What if I succeed? What if I'm a lot though? And that means that there are going to be haters. What if I show up and I do great and then I have to protect myself and my family from people who don't like what I have to say? Those are some things that ran through my mind with this simple act, quote unquote, on bunny ears, simple act of starting a podcast. Showing up with a professional PR agency, using you as a coach, I imagine you have to navigate the same sort of things when people are considering the pros and cons of taking the leap.
Right. And a lot of it comes down to the fear of being vulnerable. It comes down to the fear of being visible. And a lot of what I work with them on is recognizing, where is the root cause of that fear coming from? What is the root of it and what's happened to kind of trigger you to feel this way? Because it always comes from somewhere. So when we recognize the root cause of it and what's triggering it, then we know better about how to push past it. As I say, I've lived past, with it myself. And for me, it also comes down to the element of control. The idea that as entrepreneurs, we have to be able to control everything that gets out there and everything. But there is freedom in letting go of that. The idea that, hey, if I put something out there, like I share an interview that I've done, if I get the trolls and if I get anything, I say to my clients, here's what you always have to remember. The people that are ready to hear what it is that you have to say, that resonate with it, those are your people. Everything else is just white noise. Because the fact of the matter is that what you're doing with your business is not going to appeal to everybody. And that goes the same for your story, personal as it is, in terms of the inspiration behind why you started your business, what motivates you, what the impact you want to make is, and what your plans are for the future. All of those things are not going to resonate with everybody. And you want to focus on the people that are actually engaging with you, the people that are sharing your content, the people that are having conversations with you, that are asking you questions, because these are the people that you want to bring into your network. You want them as your subscribers. You want them to show up when you have events. You want them to buy from you online. And if you're in person somewhere, like at a trade show, you want them to stop by and say hi. These are
Absolutely.
the people that you need to be focused on developing relationships with. And the media is essentially, because it's impossible for us to engage with every single customer one on one all the time. So the media exists as that conduit, if you will, as that shortcut to getting you and your story in front of the right audiences, because the media have spent months, if not years, building and cultivating their reputation, so their audiences trust them. They
Mm-hmm.
know that they have good quality content. They know they're going to be bringing fantastic, knowledgeable experts in front of them that they can learn from. They know they're going to be sharing stories with them that not only educate them, but captivate and entertain them as well. They know all of these things. And those are the folks that you want to get in front of. But you have to be ready for that. If there is a con to publicity, it's the fact that it's not going to work for you unless you're ready for that. And by ready, I mean you not only have to be confident in what you want to share with people, that superpower in your story. You have to have that confidence that no matter what, that's your foundation. You believe in it. You believe in why you're doing it and why you continue to do it, right? That is the strength that needs to come from you in order to make this work. And then on top of that, it's about knowing what your goals are.
Right.
Because if even if you know what you want to share with people, if you don't know where you want to take it, you don't know who you want to get in front of. And that's not going to help you make informed decisions about how you're going to maximize your time and preserve your energy while doing it, in order to continue building these relationships. Because the thing about PR, Shauna, that a lot of people don't realize is that it's not a flash in the pan thing. It's not, hey, I'm going to do it for a couple of months and it's done. The hope out of this is that whatever coverage you get, whether it's interviews, whether it's reviews, whether you're doing events with these folks, whatever it is, you have these long lasting relationships that you can always go back to. The
Mm-hmm.
next time you have a new service, you have a new product, maybe you're doing a series of charity fundraisers, whatever it is, you can go back to these folks and go, hey, I have this going on now. Do you have time for an interview? Or maybe, you want to stop by my event and cover it? Like, I'd love to have you, invite them to things like that. That's where the power comes in. And it's so powerful because they develop that content on your behalf. It's not
Absolutely.
coming from you. It's showing your audience that, hey, this third party, that is reputable, that has years of experience and has their own expertise, is all of a sudden supporting this entrepreneur and promoting their story and everything. Maybe I should check it out.
It makes a world of difference, a world of difference, the way you can collaborate and build a community around that. And it's funny that You know, a lot of people are looking for those magic bullets, those quick fixes, those flash in the pan solutions, and the ones that actually work long term and that allow you to grow exponentially within the marketing and PR space are those that do take a while to really manifest themselves into something that is bigger than you ever thought could happen. And now with that, I just wanted to ask you, because that's an amazing concept to realize, I think, as a solopreneur and small business owner who's looking for the next level. That concept is massive. What are some final thoughts that you'd like to add to that to make sure that people are on the right path when it comes to being informed, to making educated decisions and advocating for their business? What else would you like to share?
I know how overwhelming it can be when you are faced with making new decisions and everything. So, what I say to my clients and entrepreneurs all over the world is this: take your time and break it down into bite sized chunks to make it manageable. If you are looking at building relationships with media outlets and you want to find those right people, if you no one says you have to spend 20 hours a week on that one task. If you only have that hour a week, take that hour, put a timer on it, and see how far you can get in terms of even asking your community for recommendations on podcasts, on bloggers, other folks you can get in touch with. If you have half an hour, take that half an hour and send out those email pitches just to see if you're going to get a response, right? It's all about taking it incrementally. And that goes the same thing for when you're strategizing and brainstorming your goals or brainstorming the parts of your story you want to share as well. Take it incrementally. That's actually something that I cover quite extensively in my new book, which you can grab a copy of at crowdfunder.com/publicity prescription. That's in the show notes, but you can grab a copy there. I'm also releasing a companion glossary and workbook with the book as well to really help you take what you learn through the book and put it in action and to build that PR campaign that's going to get you where you need to go.
That's amazing. And what I think is probably the most important part of that message is that idea that you can take action no matter how much or little time and energy you think you have. That's amazing. And with this book, with the companion glossary, you're going to be able to take that action even faster. So absolutely reach out, connect with Lillian, and start the process now, because this is what it takes. So if you want to get there, you got to start now with the time and energy you have today. And this is a great first step. So with that, I invite you all to join the conversation, ask your questions, make sure you like, follow, share with others who are looking for more visibility in the PR space. And don't forget to join us next time, because we have more conversations just like this